So basically for the triennial reappraisal, it was 41% countywide. What is it looking now? I asked you, are prices stabilizing at this point? You said no.
So what we're continuing to see is a very aggressive market in terms of what people are paying month over month from what they would have previously. So it's continuing to increase. It's not at as large of a percentage that we saw through the mass reappraisal, but it's one that isn't necessarily slowing down or flatlined yet.
Okay. And I just asked you, do you have any idea, any inclination, any prediction of what a drop in interest rate could do to home values in Franklin County?
So we haven't seen yet. I mean, our challenge in Franklin County is we're continuing to add so much population growth while having just lack of housing stock. That's what is keeping those values so high. So as we're adding more, as we're seeing municipalities make changes to their zoning, that could help, but it's going to take a while to see it trickle down, not just interest rates, but those activities as well.
Okay. You said you were not aware of the delinquent case numbers to show. Now, I don't think just doubled the full number of 2023 just yet, but really hitting that metric. Surprised?
We're always concerned with kind of the relationship of the valuation, the notification of property owners when treasurer's property tax bills go out. So not necessarily surprised. I think we knew just in terms of the life cycle of property tax payments, when notification occurs, when people engage through Board of Revision, through the Auditor's office. It's an interesting web. So not surprised, but always concerned anytime we have more than one.
You definitely provide testimony on these issues at the State House. You definitely, while not in testimony, give input from your office to different lawmakers coming up with their bills. If no bill is passed when it comes to property tax, what do you anticipate?
A little bit of it depends. Property tax, as we remind property owners all the time, it's 35% of the auditor's valuation combined with the taxing district. We are going to have a number of issues that are going to be on the ballot this fall. We encourage voters to know the value of your votes. Depending on what happens, that impacts the taxing district. So what we've seen, values can go up, your taxes can go down, your value could go down, your tax could go up. It really is important for people to understand what's on their ballot, the impact it could have.
Okay. I did bring up the abatement question as well. We've talked about the circuit breaker model. We've talked about the freeze. But something that I do hear is one tier in this formula is the tax base. And when you don't have a big tax base, you've even said it, the burden shifts. Do you know, even on a local level, on a county level, where is the abatement discussion?
So we encourage people to visit the auditor's website where we have a tax incentive hub. Property owners, any resident of Franklin County can go there, make the determination of where abatements are occurring, what that investment looks like. In terms of any changes, it continues to be an economic toolbox piece, and so I don't think you're going to see changes. It's not only just large cities, but surrounding communities as well that are going to implement those economic tools.
So again, we are seeing a lot more delinquent tax cases this year. We did see, don't know if it's correlation, we did see a massive levy when it came from Columbus City Schools. You are now coming out, it might not be over, especially with people in the suburbs. What are you coming out with, and why do people need to log on and check it out?
So on terms of the value of your vote. So last year, had two school levies not passed in Franklin County, on average, property taxes would have been flat or actually decreased, even with that 41% value increase. But voters made that commitment to those levies, and so they've passed. Now, a year later, we have another election, and we still want to remind people of the value of your vote. There are going to be a number of issues, from fire levies to school levies to county agencies that are going to be on the ballot. And so understanding what's going on, you may have a school levy that's got some levies rolling off, want passage here, there may be additional investment going on, but it will have an impact, pass or not pass, on your property taxes. And so we want people to visit the auditor's website on October 1st. We'll have the updated language. You'll be able to search through our ballot levy estimator, understand what's going to be on your ballot and what impact it could have.
Okay. And just in a nutshell, why do you think there are delinquent taxes? Why do you think property tax is going up? I know we have that property valuation doesn't equal an increase to property tax dollar for dollar. Why are property taxes going up?
The conversation we hear with a lot of residents is they don't realize it's going to hit the next tax bill. So when we had an election, boom, and they aren't able to budget for it. And so trying to have, and why this press conference was so important, additional tools in the toolbox, a menu of options. But it's really, they get that first one, it's my understanding they start getting behind, they get the second one, and so now they're playing catch up. It's really that immediate impact. And so we've talked with some members of the General Assembly, could you do a delay, could there be additional process? But it's that immediacy of boom, we had an election, now it's showing up in the next tax bill. We weren't able to budget for it, and that, I think, based on what I've heard from property owners, is some of what's causing their delinquencies.
Okay, last question. Now coming out from this, it sounds like people are not very optimistic that a bill is going to pass in the State House that deals with a reduction in property taxes, even for the elderly or disabled. What do people need to do to make sure something happens in the State House?
We always encourage everyone to contact their members of the General Assembly, not only from the State House, but also your state senator. They're the ones that can make those changes. While we appreciate and we'll work wherever we can through our statutory functions in the Auditor's office, it's the members of the General Assembly that can make those changes. So never say never, but they need to hear from you. And where people say, well, I'm not the auditor, they want to hear directly from their constituents. And so that's where property owners play such an important role in advocating and seeking changes to current state law.
Coming out of here, do you think it's now time for voters to pick up the phone?
It's been time for the last 6 years since I've served as county auditor.